So,
Summer is done, and we had our fun, but this isn't the end of our story.
and this is once again proven true because Phineas and Ferb was just renewed for 40 more episodes. That's right, all new Phineas and Ferb. And be aware that it's still very early in development because no deals have been signed with actors or writers for production, and everything is still moving forward on Hamster and Gretel at the moment. So I'm just going to skip right past the intro today so we can talk about what all this means. From the press release sent to multiple news outlets, here are the key things to know. First, Dan Povenmire, the original co-creator and voice of Doofenshmirtz, is the only confirmed person returning. This was announced as part of a long-term deal with Disney Television Animation to keep Dan around. And not only will he be making 40 new episodes of Phineas and Ferb, but he'll be working on the officially greenlit Hamster and Gretel Season 2 and developing live-action content for the channel. Could this mean we get a live-action Phineas and Ferb Disney Channel original movie? I hope not.
Bruh.
But Disney does seem to be playing around with different types of live-action shows on the channel, and I'd certainly rather have whatever's in Dan's creative leftovers bag than Season 9 of Bunked. So, how do I feel about all this? Hopefully optimistic. I wish I could say I was infinitely excited for this, but there's just so much we don't know. I want this to be great so badly and wish everyone working on it nothing but the best. But let's talk about the unknowns and why they give me pause. First, Swampy isn't confirmed to be coming back as a creative. He's working on Hey AJ for Disney Junior right now at his own Surfer Jack Studios. He's also branched out quite a bit and hasn't been as tied to Disney as Dan, despite coming back for Candace Against the Universe to produce. The fact that they announced this revival without Swampy attached isn't the best sign, as so much of what made Phineas and Ferb itself was the duo working together. Still though, it's not like it's impossible for Swampy to return, though his lack of engagement with any posts on social media about the announcement is troubling. However, he does lend his voice for Hamster and Gretel, so I'm personally not worried about a major monogram recast or really any major recasts. It's the creative aspect that has me cautious. Second, where is this airing? Will this be for Disney Channel proper like Hamster and Gretel, or a Disney Plus exclusive like Candace Against the Universe? The Disney Plus Twitter account makes it sound like they'll be simultaneous, similar to how most Disney Channel shows are now. This is important not because I'm worried about Disney binge dropping episodes, those days are thankfully in the past, but because an episode on streaming and cable are completely different things. What exactly does 40 episodes mean in today's streaming world? 40 11-minute episodes is equal to 20 episode pairs, aka one original season of Phineas and Ferb. Is this what they mean? How would the extended length episodes be counted? If the new series is for Disney Channel, the episode count is less of a concern, as 40 episodes would likely mean 40 22-minute segments, which would be in line with the original show. But still, we don't know. If I had to take a personal guess, I'd say it'll probably be a Disney Plus original airing sometime afterwards on TV, like Monsters at Work is now. I feel like this follows the pattern of Candace Against the Universe, where nostalgia will drive people to streaming, which is their ultimate endgame at the moment. And they'll still have Hamster and Gretel on Disney Channel proper, cameoing Phineas and Ferb characters by Season 2 to cross-promote it. Third, what's the story reason to revisit Phineas and Ferb in their own show? If we're going back to the original summer for more fill-in-the-gaps content like Candace Against the Universe, I'll be more concerned. It truly feels like that chapter of the Phineas and Ferb story doesn't have 2 full seasons left in it. Not to mention all the other shows in the series have pushed the timeline forward, with Milo Murphy's Law taking place in the year after, and Hamster and Gretel presumably taking place beyond that. I think a part of me just can't imagine full episodes of Phineas and Ferb done by Snipple Animation with how awful the first third of Candace Against the Universe looked. I know they've done better with the style in Hamster and Gretel, but still. If this was a new summer or era of the show, or if there's a clear time gap, I can understand it. But putting entire retcon seasons that look so visually different into the original summer just feels wrong to me, especially with the last day of summer still serving as the definitive ending. Ideally, I'd love this series to take place in the next summer. We know from Actor Age that they keep doing essentially the same thing summer after summer, so why not another? The only question then becomes, what do you do with Doof? Canonically, Doof is in something of a weird place. He turns good officially at the end of the last day of summer, then you have Doof 101 where he becomes a teacher, then the Alka Files where he becomes an agent, then you have Milo Murphy's Law where he learns that he will someday become Professor Time, the world-renowned inventor of time travel.
Professor Time! Hey, long time no see, Cavendish. He knows my name!
But in starting that journey, he lives with Milo and his family, and that's where we left him at the end of that show. Then, of course, Dan has teased again and again that Doof will be appearing in Hamster and Gretel this season, which who knows how that'll fit into the story. I bet money that at least one of these doof stories ends up retconned by the new seasons of Phineas and Ferb. So, if Phineas and Ferb picks up in a new season, will Doof be good? Canonically, according to Dan, Phineas and Ferb's Christmas episode implies that Doof relapses on his journey to becoming good again, so it's feasible that he could still be evil for an entire another summer, even if I wouldn't love that choice personally. But if the goal of this series is Phineas and Ferb for a new generation, I just can't see how you could break the formula with Doof being entirely good. While it worked for Candace Against the Universe to not play into Doof's evil tendencies, the show in its normal form needs Doof versus Perry as a conflict. Another thing is that if you wanted to bring characters from the expanded universe into Phineas and Ferb, it becomes much more difficult being in the original summer, as Milo hadn't met Zach yet, and Hamster and Gretel hadn't gotten their powers yet since that series takes place during the school year. Here's something that gets me excited no matter when the show is set though. The opportunity to follow up on forgotten plotlines from the main series. Stacy knowing Perry's secret identity. Why Monty and Vanessa didn't work out. Meet me in St. Louis. Will we finally find out what union Jeremy was objecting to?
Yes, I'm just a guy who's a sucker for the sounds of mass transit.
Or a sequel to Mission Marvel. Or Phineas and Ferb Star Wars. Finally returning to the second dimension to resolve that cliffhanger? I hope they go for the obvious loose ends to start with, and then work on new ideas from there, because invention-wise, Phineas and Ferb was really running out of steam by the end of the original run. Maybe they can also flesh out some of the characters' journeys towards where they end up in Actor Age, such as Irving joining the OWCA. Also, if they do choose to set this in a second summer, I really hope they take the opportunity to provide closure to some of the Milo Murphy's Law characters. Dan has discussed a three-way crossover between the Dwampyverse shows, and I think now it's only a matter of time before it becomes reality. Even if it doesn't, one episode of Milo Murphy's Law was essentially just a retconned Phineas and Ferb episode, so who's to say an episode of Phineas and Ferb couldn't be a Milo Murphy's Law episode?
Hey, could you guys use a blowtorch and some peanut butter?
How can we not have met before today?
Most of all though, I really want closure for Milo out of this situation. It's the show I started my channel discussing, and it truly is my favorite part of this universe, even if I can acknowledge that Phineas and Ferb is an objectively better and more popular show. And to everyone working on the new Phineas and Ferb, I wish you the best of luck. I imagine this is a pretty monumental task to live up to the show's legend.
It's just a lot of pressure.
And hey, if anyone watching this works on the show and knows they need an animatic editor or a lore consultant, or even just a cameo voice, hit me up. I'd be incredibly happy to lend my talents to this world that I've loved for so long. So that's all I have for today's trip to the second dimension. Be sure to check out my video on why Phineas and Ferb originally ended, as it does a better job of explaining the state of the franchise in a more orderly fashion than this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back in Dimension 1.